Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel today. So I just want to give a little insight on Stellantis and what I think is going on with the brand today. So I've been watching a lot of videos on YouTube here about what is going on with Dodge, what is going on with Chrysler, and with the layoffs. I know Stellantis just laid off about 2% of the workforce, a lot of engineers, and it's just kind of a sign of things to come. And I know I just did a video recently about that, but I want to share with you my thoughts on hearing everybody else's opinions on the brand and hearing reports and everything about the brand. Now, one thing to note is that Stellantis's stock price right now is through the roof, and I own a large share of Stellantis stocks. Try saying that 5 times fast. But I own a lot of stocks in Stellantis, let's just put it that way. And right now their dividends are paying well and the stock price is through the roof. So I don't know how they're managing to post the profits that they do, especially in America with how expensive these Ram trucks are getting and Jeep vehicles are getting, and the downfall of Dodge and Chrysler essentially. But with that being said, on to my opinion of what is going on with Dodge and Chrysler. So, as we know, Dodge is putting out an electric Charger. They're doing that, whoop-de-doo. Every brand should have an electric vehicle on the market, but you already know my opinion if you've watched the channel before. You know that Dodge is not providing us with a Hemi V8 anymore, which really sucks. So, instead of just weaning us off the Hemi that we love so much, they're going cold turkey and going straight to the electric vehicle. And I wouldn't have a problem with this if they offered us the Hurricane Straight 6 that is going in the Ram trucks and now some of the Jeeps. But they're not. They're not offering us that. So they're just basically quitting cold turkey, and they're not giving us that option of an ICE-powered sports vehicle until 2025, and we don't even know when in 2025 that is going to happen. So not only now do you have all of these Charger 2023 models, Charger and Challenger, sitting on the lots, they're not selling because a lot of dealers are unscrupulous and trying to get as much money out of those vehicles as they can. Now, there are some dealers out there I've seen on Auto Trader that are offering Scat Packs, RTs, base model, no option Scat Packs and RTs for of Chargers and Challengers for upper 20s and lower 30s, which I think is astronomical. And I'm honestly thinking myself as an investment, but you have to keep it for a long time. But here's where I'm thinking. So a lot of these dealers, even the local dealers that I service my cars at, they're running out of floor plan. They're running out of space on their dealership to store vehicles. And I've seen it firsthand over the last 2 years at the dealership that I work with and getting my cars oil changes and whatnot. They're simply running out of room, which is great for the consumer, but it's not great because a lot of these dealers still have high prices, and maybe it's not their fault. Maybe these smaller dealers, like I'm talking about size of 2,000 people in your community, small dealerships, they don't have a choice because their pricing is more or less set on the from the manufacturer. Talking about a larger dealer such as a Walzer or a Napleton, where they're almost a national company, that's a little different. But here's the problem: the cars aren't selling for Chrysler or Dodge. Jeep and Ram are still holding the line, leading the charge for these vehicles for the brands of Stellantis in America. Dodge is not selling. So now when we get the influx of electric Chargers later this year in 2024, that's only going to make the situation worse on the lots, and we don't even know the pricing on that yet. But I can probably assume that it's going to be very, very high. And so this is where I lead with what the future is of Chrysler and Dodge, with no 300 Charger or Challenger left, and Durango getting redesigned now, and Pacifica going electric in 2028. I don't think Dodge and Chrysler is going to be around in 10 years. I really don't, unless they can figure out as a brand how to essentially bring a V8 option back and bring some of that fun back. Now, granted, these cars are going to be fun because they're going to be super fast. But as you're listening to this Hemi right now, you can't beat that V8 sound. And this is just a 5.7 in my Ram truck. You just can't beat that V8 sound. So, and you know, you have reliability. You're putting turbos on an engine, compression rates, blah 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 blah. Everything is just more complicated with turbos. So I personally don't think, and I probably will be wrong, but as it sits right now, I don't think Dodge or Chrysler are going to be around in 10 years. Because here's my thinking on it. You have a French brand or a Dutch brand that buys an American brand, and we all know as Americans we like vehicles that are big, fast, huge, you know, whatever. Chevy's done it, Cadillac's done it. I mean, we like fast, huge, raucous sedans and vehicles, SUVs, whatever. Escalade V, there's a great example there from a different brand. Trucks, Silverados, GMCs, still putting out 6.2 liter V8s. So essentially, the Dutch or the French don't want V8s because that's not what they stand for. And that would be like us, as if Dodge or Chrysler or Ram or Jeep were to buy those brands overseas, they're going to throw Hellcats, they're going to throw V8s and everything, because that's what us as Americans like. It's just different cultural icons. But not lucky for us, we don't have the luxury of being owned by an American brand anymore. It's a foreign brand. So they're going to come in and culturalize the company the way they want it to be culturalized, and essentially kill off everything that we like. Now, to their credit, has the interior of these FCA products improved? Oh, greatly. This Ram truck I'm in right now is one of the nicest vehicles I have owned. Well, it's the nicest vehicle I have owned, but it's one of the nicer vehicles I have been in, besides a Mercedes-Benz or a BMW, you know, a top trim in one of those vehicles. But they essentially turn the interiors and the exteriors, for that matter, of these newer generation cars into something that can compete or class lead in almost every category. So that's great. But what they're not doing well is the engine characteristics, the driving characteristics, and that's their culture over there. We have in America a great racing culture, great V8 culture, harkens back to the 60s, 70s, 50s, and 40s even. So now that that brand is owning us, we have no choice but to accept what they want to be done with Dodge and Chrysler. They're going to hold on to Jeep and Ram. That's one thing that we can be certain of, because those two brands are leading the charge, carrying the weight of the other brands and making a steady profit. Even though prices are going up, they're selling less products, but the profit, because the overhead is smaller, the profit on those Rams and Jeeps are very, very high. So we don't have to worry about those two brands going away. But in terms of SRT and Dodge and Chrysler, we can kiss that goodbye. They're not interested in that. They're interested in, Stellantis is interested in pushing Maserati, Alfa Romeo, and Fiat onto us, smaller vehicles that now, even you look at Maserati, who had a rich V8 heritage, is now downsizing to twin turbo 6 engines. So, and it is what it is. We don't have control of that. We do as a consumer when we don't buy their product, but we have to do that in the masses. And quite frankly, I'm going to be buying these V8s as long as I can. I'm not going to buy a straight 6 truck. I'm not going to buy that truck. I'm going to buy a TRX. I want to have that V8 feeling as long as I can. But that's just where we're at. And if Stellantis doesn't have plans on keeping Dodge or Chrysler, at least let them go out in a high note with some cool cars and some cool engines. But I don't know. I don't know what their plans are. I don't think they'll be around in 10 years, to tell you the honest truth. Or if they will be, they're going to be a very small manufacturer now of vehicles. and not the typical mass-producing, you know, American luxury or American sport brand that we once knew them to be back in the mid-2000s to mid-2010s. So that's just my thoughts on it. A foreign company bought an American brand. We're being culturalized by foreign people, by foreign companies, and they're pushing their agenda onto our brands. But here's the thing, we have no choice in that. They want to push smaller vehicles, more efficient vehicles, because their regulations in Europe are way more heavily regulated than what we are here in America. So we should still be thankful, I guess, that we actually have the opportunity to buy the vehicles. You know, if you're trying to find one silver lining out of the whole situation. But looking down the road with the typical buyers of Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, I don't see Dodge and Chrysler lasting much longer. 10 years. I'm giving it 10 years. Maybe in 10 years when I'm 37 years old, I'll be completely wrong. And maybe I'll still be driving Dodge vehicles then. I don't know. But as of right now, I don't see, because of the vision of Stellantis, I don't see Dodge and Chrysler being around in 10 more years. Alright guys, if you enjoy this Mopar content, Mopar news as much as I do, I'm very passionate about it, please like and subscribe. You're going to get a whole bunch of Mopar content, 300, Challenger, Ram truck, and Mopar news. So, alright guys,